I'd say foundational values that I still live by even today. Three things: that's rigor, there is pursuit of excellence, and grit. That rigor kind of set you up very well when you got to the workplace. The expectations were pretty much, exactly what you had done in school.
Welcome to K-Talks. This is Dr. Jerry Gliachko, the Dean of the School of Media and Marketing at the University of Asia and the Pacific. Our guest for today is an alumna of the Master's Program in Integrated Marketing Communication. She finished in 2005. She's the head of industry at Meta and among the co-founders of what was then Facebook Philippines. Please welcome Laurie Lee. Hello, Laurie.
Hello, Dr. Lee. Very nice.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course, we do.
Great. It's nice to welcome you back here after so many years at the campus. So maybe we can start by you telling us, how was your UA&P education, your experience, and how did you think your IMC training helped or prepared you to what you're doing today?
I think it's a great question. So I spent some time thinking about this because, it's been a couple of years.
Right.
Right. Understatement. But I think looking at, lessons aside, because that one can change through time, right?
Absolutely.
Those things evolve. I think there were three things that really stood out to me. And these are still the same, I'd say, foundational values that I still live by even today, even before my role. Three things: that's rigor, there is pursuit of excellence, and grit. When it comes to rigor, I think this is the how, right? And something when it comes to a course like IMC, if there's anything that was drilled so deeply and ingrained in all of us, it's how we execute so well and flawlessly across from start to finish. And I think what was great about the course back then was it allowed you to be immersed from the beginning of a process, whether it's the same marketing, down from insights, going to actually interview consumers, then to doing the research, presentation, the creative development.
You had lots of those. You had lots of
Yes,
presentations.
exactly. And so I think that rigor kind of set you up very well when you got to the workplace, and the expectations were pretty much, exactly what you had done in school. School wasn't even I would say it wasn't even a practice, because at fifth year, we were able to work with industry professionals.
That's right. Where did you do your residency?
It was in Publicis. I know you did convince me to go to a brand side because you told me that I looked and felt more like a brand person.
You were fit for brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gave it a shot. I'm like, no, I need to go to the agency.
Wow, okay. Were you in accounts or in creative?
Funny story. I went there with my creative portfolio because my professor back then was Paulo Mercado. And he was the GM of the agency. But when he saw my CV and all my experience with the student council here, he then said, I think account management is for you.
Will fit you better.
Let's think about creative. And I never got to start in creative.
Wow, okay.
But that said, I think I don't regret it. I think account management also set me up very well for how I transitioned through my career. The second one, I think, is grit. Because in the course, I distinctly remember in my fifth year having only slept maybe about probably cumulatively 5 hours in 5 days, because we had that back-to-back presentation to industry professionals, and these were all in those respective agencies. We actually went out that week, right? And I feel that grit is one value that the course just teaches you, because there is no room for failure. Yes, something that you always talked to us about. The third one is pursuit of excellence, because and this is more thanks to you, that was always what Dr. K would come and tell us, just because when things don't work, it's not about settling for that
mediocrity.
Right? For mediocrity. So I think that was what we had applied throughout, at least with everything we did in our course, right? Like when I have an opportunity to present, and I know whether the competition is maybe another platform, or it's internal. We want to make sure that, is this something that's mediocre, that's just going to get the job done, or is this something that's really going to stand out? And so that's always something that I apply whenever across my day-to-day.
As you were speaking, I recall distinctly that you had told me a story at that time when you were finishing high school at Poveda, and you were one of the top graduates, and you were searching for a university. And I seem to recall that you were accepted in all the top universities, and yet you chose us for the program. Was that right?
Yes, exactly. I got to top universities, people thought I was crazy for letting go of one of them with similar acronym as UA&P. But I really believe in the course. So
I see.
I did
Wow,
a comparison of all the courses when it came to communications, and I did want to get into advertising. And so after comparing all of them, I said, no, school's course seems to be, I think, the best in the Philippines back then.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't regret
And I
it.
hope we didn't disappoint.
Yes, not at all.
Now that leads me to my second question. Today you were in tech, so could you tell us a little bit about the transition from advertising to tech? To what you do today.
Yeah, maybe I'll give a background. So I was in advertising from the time I interned, right, Publicist, and then spent,
that your first job as well?
That was my first job, yes.
So after your residency, they hired you?
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
I didn't have a summer break because they immediately hired me after my internship.
That's great.
And so I spent about maybe a decade in advertising also. After that, then I transitioned to tech with Facebook. Some could say, initially I was thinking, this is luck, right? Because of all the opportunities I'd gotten throughout those years. But again, I think we create our own luck. And that's sort of maybe what I wanted to also share, is that I think it starts from the context that you set. So on my end, whenever I get into any endeavor, whether it's career, sports,
you're big in sports, yes.
Any passion, let's say, any pursuit, I always think about, what is my objective for this? Do I want to excel here? Or is it something that I'm just going to pursue as a passion? And then from there, that will determine my prioritization, the effort I put in, and how it actually fits into my life. And so when it came to my career, especially in advertising, very bright-eyed, when I started out, I said, I wanted to be one of the youngest leaders in advertising in the Philippines. So that's how I started my career.
Yes.
I retired early from Publicis, where I spent some time working with the multinationals. So in Publicis. But then around, I did hit my goal of being a young leader there.
What was your position before you left?
So I was the business unit director, and I was...
You were handling Nestle or
I was
a
handling
brand?
Nestle and P&G as well with Publicis. I was around 27 at that time. And I said, this is getting too comfortable and easy. Like, what's next, right? So then I had an opportunity to join a local agency, which is Publicis Jimenez basically.
Oh, yes, of course.
I saw the opportunity to handle outside, verticals outside of FMCG, which would be, at that point, it was telco, financial services, QSR, quick service restaurants. And I said, it'll be great to handle local brands. So I joined Publicis Jimenez Basic. And I think that was when I had that eureka moment where I was tasked to handle a small brand then in telco called Mobile Data Services. So it was the world of, during the time, text and calls were king. So they gave us mobile data services. What is this, right? Basically, the product was to sell Facebook, all these apps, and rationalize why people had to use data and the internet, why it was important. So
this were one of those early years.
Very early years. So this was back in 2012. But people didn't really need the internet back in the Philippines. So when I got that account and we kind of do research to understand how can we do this differently, how can we do this in digital? How can we mount this campaign on digital and launch free Facebook in the Philippines? That was the campaign. And then I realized, wow, not a lot of people in advertising know how to go about social media, now know how to go about digital ads, and even data in general. And that's when I realized this is going to be the future. And I need to align myself with this, find ways for me to learn about tech and data, because it's no longer going to be about TV and radio. So that then became my shift when I started thinking, okay, let's think through how can I shift my career towards more digital. Then another opportunity opened up where I was offered a position to lead a digital agency, which was quite ironic.
Oh, okay.
So this was with an IPG agency, so Draft Phone and Building, DFCB.
Oh, okay.
When I joined DFCB, I was like a sponge, right? I wanted to learn, how do you create campaigns on social media?
Right.
How do you shoot videos for digital, which is so different from TV? I really enjoyed my time there because that's when my role would open up. And then I got a call from Facebook, and it was funny because I thought it was a prank at one point because I said there is no Facebook office, and they said, look, we're opening an office in the Philippines. Would you be interested to come in for, let's say, a chat, like an interview? We knew nothing about hiring in the Philippines, so I said, okay, let's give it a shot. 8 8.5 years, close to 9 years later, I've been in Facebook
Wow.
ever since. Facebook rebranded to Meta. Currently, the only founding member left in Meta Philippines.
Is yourself
Yes.
from the original. Wow. So you're the
Those that
OG.
joined in 2016. So that is the journey. I mean,
Yes.
and looking back, the transition from advertising to tech was really a result of, I mean, you could say luck, but
Yes.
also I think it's a result of one, I mean, creating a roadmap for yourself, knowing where the future is headed in terms of the industry. The other one also is making sure that you're not afraid to take risks. It's no
Yes.
trade-off. I mean, across the entire journey, I could have been comfortable enough in staying in advertising, or pluck myself out of that and
Yes.
choose to be uncomfortable again and go for whether it's a role that may not exactly be a step up or maybe lateral.
Right.
Maybe you're not getting paid just as much. There's so many trade-offs that you have.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, taking risks just makes it all worth it.
Now that you've been in this side, you still deal with agencies and clients in your role now. How would you say the advertising agency has changed?
Like I would say there's like a seismic shift already with how agencies and even advertising in general. I think looking at it from like whether it's a consumer perspective, talk to a consumer channel and data. From a consumer perspective, consumers now, it's no longer the brand that dictates how a consumer will experience them. It's the consumers dictate how they experience the brand. That is now in the power of the consumer. Second one is channels. We started out in advertising, it was one way.
That's
TV,
right. That's
radio,
right. Yes.
print. Right?
Yes.
There's so many ways in which people would be able to encounter brand. How do you maximize that? And the
Yes.
last one is data. Again, when it comes to measurement,
Yes.
it used to just be whoever was exposed.
That's right.
Exposure was how we measured
That's
effectiveness.
right.
And right now, we know that brands and even companies now are questioning us on what metrics will actually dictate sales. So how do you measure true ROI? And
Yes.
it's no longer about exposure. It's really
That's
if
right.
this person was exposed and then ended up closing a sale.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
Where I see that with tech evolving, I think that's where we need as marketers, and I continue to work with marketers from both the brand and the agency side. When it comes to consumers, it's no longer the upside down, it's no longer the pyramid. We used to talk about the linear funnel, right? Awareness, consideration, and purchase.
That's right.
And now we say it's a fluid funnel. The consumers will go from awareness to maybe purchase, or maybe they'll see a discount first and then decide, what is
Right, and they go back and forth in that
exactly.
funnel. Yeah.
And then you have like on the channel side, that's where I think creatives or advertising needs to change. Because before, we used to have one key visual and then apply that across all.
That's right.
Right? That's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing, look, people want personalization. People not question whether even getting an ad under or served an ad that doesn't make sense. So we have to think about how do we create for each and every platform, create for different user experiences, because that's what people are now expecting. It's catered to them, right? How do we even use AI to make sure that we're being effective and efficient as we create? And I think the last thing would be on metrics. It's no longer about vanity metrics like views or exposure or engagement even. It's really about how one impression has translated to an actual sale. All about ROI these days.
That's true. Well, thanks very much, Laurie, for all these insights you shared with us today. And I look forward to what future you will have in this industry of tech, right? So thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Until the next one. Bye for now.